Today, we are going deep inside one of the biggest digital threats out there. We're going to crack open the playbook and walk through the anatomy of a modern ransomware attack, step by step. Think of it like a digital heist. Let's dive in. So, when I say the word ransomware, what's the first image that pops into your head? For a lot of people, it's probably some kind of rogue virus, a single malicious program that just randomly infects a computer. But what if I told you that's not the real story? Not even close. You see, the reality is that the major ransomware attacks we hear about today are these methodical, multi-stage operations. They're run by actual, skilled human attackers. So you got to think of it less like a computer getting a cold and more like a carefully planned bank robbery with very distinct phases from breaking in all the way to the getaway. All right, so every single heist needs a way in, right? And in the digital world, attackers are basically just walking around the neighborhood, checking for unlocked doors and open windows that lead right into a company's network. Now, this chart here is pretty fascinating because it shows how these methods kind of ebb and flow over time. But you'll notice three main techniques consistently pop up at the top. You've got RDP compromise. That's when they abuse insecure remote desktop connections. Then you have classic email phishing. And of course, unpatched software flaws. These are by far the top three ways they get their foot in the door. For years now, one of the absolute most popular ways in has been through something called the Remote Desktop Protocol, or RDP. Just think of it as a digital door that lets you control a computer from anywhere in the world. This became a huge problem when everyone shifted to remote work, because companies rushed to give employees access from home and, well, a lot of them forgot to lock that door properly. So, just how big of a problem are we talking about? Well, if you use a special search engine called Shodan, which finds internet-connected devices, you can find nearly 5 million systems with their RDP ports just wide open to the public. Every single one of those is a potential unlocked door for an attacker. And this is not some localized issue. As you can see on this map, these vulnerable servers are literally all over the globe. It's created this massive worldwide attack surface that's basically a buffet for cybercriminals. And get this, the big ransomware gangs, they often don't even find these weak points themselves. There's a whole underground economy of initial access brokers who do the dirty work of breaking in, and then they just sell that access on a forum to the highest bidder. This post, for example, shows someone willing to pay up to 15 grand just for a foothold inside a corporate network. It's wild. Phishing, of course, is another huge one. On the left, you've got the classic approach, right? An email with a sketchy attachment. But then look at the image on the right. This is way more sophisticated. This is an email designed to make you pick up the phone and call a fake help desk. An attacker then gets on the line and personally walks you through installing their malware. That's vishing, voice phishing. And finally, we've got software vulnerabilities. This is where attackers find and exploit flaws in the actual code of the programs that companies use every day. A really devastating example was the Kaseya attack. The rival ransomware group used one tiny flaw to infect thousands of businesses at once, and then demanded a jaw-dropping $70 million ransom. Okay, so the attackers are in. The break-in was successful. But the heist has only just begun. They can't just set off the alarm and deploy the ransomware right away. No. First, they need to case the joint, figure out the layout, find the cameras, and locate the vault. This is the post-exploitation phase. This phase is all about what happens after that initial breach. You know, attackers can spend days, weeks, sometimes even months just quietly moving around the network, mapping everything out, stealing credentials, and escalating their privileges until they basically have the keys to the entire kingdom. And they're not doing this manually. They have a whole suite of specialized tools, kind of like a heist crew's toolkit. As you can see in this table, they've got reconnaissance tools to map out the network and Active Directory, that's the system managing all the users. Then they use credential dumpers to literally suck up all the passwords they can find. And finally, they use powerful frameworks like Cobalt Strike to take complete and total control. So once they own the network and know where all the valuables are, the game completely changes. Because in a modern ransomware attack, locking the files isn't the first move anymore. The real goal is to steal the data first. This right here is the absolute crucial part of the modern ransomware strategy. It's called double extortion. Before they even think about encrypting anything, they copy and steal a company's most sensitive files. And why do they do that? Well, it's to add another huge layer of pressure. Now, if you don't pay to get your files back, they'll just leak all your secrets to the public. And they make this threat incredibly public. This is a screenshot of what they call a dedicated leak site. This one was run by the Conti ransomware gang. They list their victims like trophies on a wall, and they threaten to release their data. It creates this massive PR nightmare for the company. It's brutal. And just to prove they aren't bluffing, they'll post samples of the stolen data, or sometimes the entire archive, for anyone and everyone to download. We are talking terabytes of sensitive files here. Private financial records, employee data, intellectual property, just put out there for the whole world to see. So the data has been stolen. The leverage is set. Now, and only now, do the attackers move to the final destructive phase of the heist, deploying the ransomware and locking absolutely everything down. But even at this stage, they're super methodical. They know that a company's last two lines of defense are its data backups and its security software. So before they pull the trigger on the encryption, they make it their mission to neutralize both. This happens in a very precise final sequence. First, using the administrator access they already have, they hunt down and destroy the backups, the company's only lifeline. Next, they turn off all the alarms by disabling antivirus and security software. And only then, when the victim is completely and utterly defenseless, do they push the button and deploy the ransomware across the entire network. But here's a fascinating and pretty chilling detail. The attackers are actually careful not to destroy everything. The ransomware code is specifically programmed to avoid critical system folders like Windows. And why would they do that? Because they need the computer to be just usable enough for the victim to read the ransom note and get to the payment website. They literally leave the system intact just enough for you to be able to pay them. So when that ransom note finally appears on screen, it's not the start of the problem. It's the grand finale of a long, calculated digital heist. And with the company's data already out in the wild and their systems completely locked down, the crucial question for the victim is no longer just about recovery. It's about survival. I mean, what do you do when the thieves not only have your valuables, but they also have the blueprints to your entire house?